What is creativity? Is it something that's just you just sort of wait for to fall on you from above, or is it something you can work at? Do you all have those moments when you know you need a spark of creativity? You're in the midst of designing something, you're trying to make a new website, you're trying to make a new application, you're trying to work out how to evaluate something that's hard to evaluate, perhaps the way people feel or something like this. And you want that moment of inspiration, and does it come when you need it? Of course it doesn't. The model we have of creativity tends to be about these moments of genius. And you all heard about, I think, the 3M story, the post-it notes. You know, imagine if you had that idea to use this sort of magic glue on the back to create post-it notes. How much money there has been on post-it notes. Or Philippe Stark and the, well, we all know the lemon juicer is not perhaps all it's cooked up to be, that it dribbles all over your fingers and stuff. But boy, is it iconic, and everybody who's anybody in design would like one of those lemon squeezers sitting on their kitchen worktop. We have this idea of creativity as a genius activity. It might be Steve Jobs in Apple, or some of these designers we're looking at here, perhaps Einstein. But is that the full story? Certainly that's the sort of way it seems if you sort of look at sort of Western traditions of thinking about these things. Going way back to the Greeks, you've got the muses, the different arts, and the idea that somehow or other this inspiration comes from the muses up in Olympus and gives you these bright ideas, whether it's poetry or whether it's music or web design. So is that the real story? Let's look a little bit back at these two we've been looking at. First of all, let's look back at the post-it notes. The story is a little bit more complicated. It's not just you probably know a little bit about this. It wasn't just a moment of inspiration. The guy who was trying to design these things, well, he wasn't trying to design these things. The guy was called Spencer Silver, 1968, and he's trying to design a really good glue. And he makes this glue, and he puts it on the back of some paper, and he sticks it to something, and it just pulls straight off again. Whatever he sticks it to, it's rubbish. Now, I don't know if you've done this. You've been scribbling away at something, you've got lots of ideas, perhaps on your napkin, and you're about to throw it away. When you're about to do it, when you're about to throw it in the bin, pull it out again, have another peek, because you never know when you might have a moment of genius. Spencer Silver was like this, but he knew there was something about this. There was something about this he felt could be useful. He spent 5 years going around 3M, talking to people, giving seminars and talks, and talking about this solution in need of a problem. And then, in 1974, a guy called Arthur Fry was in one of these talks and came back to Spencer and said, I have an idea. 5 years, 2 people. And an idea that could have been, in fact, we'll throw the whole lot away in the bin before it ever started. Okay, let's look at the lemon squeezer now. So Philippe Stark, I think it was in Italy, but he's in a restaurant somewhere, and the story is he's thinking about lemon squeezers. He has this sort of inspiration of a squid, and hence we get the iconic lemon squeezer. But of course, first of all, that's not built just on that meal time. He knows about lemon squeezers. He's seen lots of lemon squeezers which have some of the suggestions, especially if you look at those kind that you do this to, of the one on the bottom, albeit the other way around. Maybe it would work better if you had the sharp end up. But even that, it's not as simple as that. He wrote down on, perhaps it was a tablecloth, certainly in some of these Italian restaurants you get paper tablecloths that could get taken away, thrown away at the end. But this tablecloth has been preserved, or this napkin has been preserved. And when you look at that, you see things, images, some of them which look pretty much like standard lemon squeezers, and gradually shifting. The order is not so clear, but it looks pretty much like actually the squid came quite late in the day. So when he tells a story, of course the squid is hot in his imagination. But when you actually look at the trace of the design, there were a lot of stages, goodness knows how many sketches on this very small piece of paper that eventually came up with this idea. So even something that took quite a short amount of time, unlike the 3M post-it notes which took 5 years to gestate, this happened quite quickly. But even so, there was quite an evolutionary process in actually coming up with the idea. So the question is, can we have techniques to help us do this kind of thing? Not necessarily to turn us into immediate magic geniuses, but to actually get reasonable creative ideas when we need them. I'm not going to try and give you a creativity machine so you can completely crank the handle and ideas fall out the end. But what I'm going to try to do is give you techniques and mechanisms that help you in this process. So it won't be a machine like this, but more a place of creativity. Now there's a lot of stuff on how you lay out your room. You know, perhaps I'm an academic really, so I've got lots of books behind me. Maybe you like big whiteboards, or perhaps if you're aiming to address a particular user group, you might have lots of photographs of them or something like that. There are techniques like that about the physical place. But what I'm going to do is try and give you an intellectual place for creativity. Try and give you methods and techniques and tools so you can create for yourself a mindset such that when you have that sort of mindset, the ideas come when you need them.